Hey, you are rolling on the road live with Dr. Kimberly and
Dave.
And we are at the 31st celebration of the ADA Act. Wow.
Holy mackerel. 31 years ago, the ADA was signed by then President George H.W. Bush. We got to get our Bushes straight.
You know, this is crazy because 31 years ago, let's see, I was 24 years old, I think.
Holy mackerel.
So I was, a young person.
Were you in the Navy then?
I was.
Serving our country. Thank you for your service. So people forget that we like to say on Rolling on the Road that Dr. Kimberly checks all the boxes.
Oh, I'm African American, female veteran, person with a disability, an entrepreneur.
Minister.
Yes.
Twice doctored.
Twice doctored. Earned.
Mm-hmm. And so, again, we thank folks who've been with us the last 14 months through this pandemic. We're trying to help you through with education and public service stuff. We've had our friends, health department.
Yes. We even did the census.
We did the census.
We hope you did this. Yeah.
Remember when the census? That was so last year.
It doesn't even seem like, wow. We've been doing this a long time.
It is.
But we want everyone to know that Dave and I are fully vaccinated, yes.
As you should definitely consider doing if you are not already vaccinated. If you have any questions, reach out to the health department, ask those questions. Contact disability advocates if you need help finding a vaccination clinic. There are mobile clinics in our community all over the state of Michigan.
And they will even come to your home.
Exactly. Or provide transportation vouchers.
Absolutely.
So please get vaccinated.
We implore you, and you will not turn into a zombie.
Well, we hope not. We hope not. No zombies yet.
Nope.
So that being said, back to the reason why we're here today. Why celebrate the Americans with Disabilities Act?
So that persons like myself can have jobs and live my own self-directed life.
Yes. And the good news is the ADA has been around for 31 years, and the bad news is we still have a ways to go.
A long way to go.
We're just going to leave it at that today because we're focused on the celebration. But
absolutely.
We might have to do a show or two on the ways to go yet.
I think we might.
We will.
Yeah.
We will.
Probably by September.
Back. Oh, we're having fun. But today, here at the ADA celebration, we're going to have as much fun as Facebook allows.
We're going to try. And YouTube.
Because, of course, we do not want to be booted off either of these social media platforms.
Not at all.
So
we got to behave.
We're going to behave, but we're going to have fun.
Yes. We're going to put our Tourette's in check.
So who's going to be with us today?
Well, I think Arts in Motion. You ready?
Arts in Motion.
Here we go. Woo!
Don't make me dance. I'm terrible at dancing. People are going to laugh and think it's a comedic routine if I dance.
Well,
it really is.
Disart
will be here. Yeah, they're going to be talking about
our great friends Chris and
Jill. They're going to be talking about some cool stuff they're going to be doing at Art Prize this fall.
Yeah, and we have a U.S. Paralympian.
Yes, John Kusku. Who is a goalball player. He's on his way to Tokyo.
What is that? I'm sorry. Can you do that from a wheelchair?
I hope you can.
Because he's in a chair?
I think so. But he's a Paralympian, and he's going for the gold on behalf of us and all Americans.
That's why we have the ADA.
Looking for that full inclusion, knocking down barriers, because there's no good reason to keep people excluded.
It's not.
From a full life in the community.
I agree.
So we're going to have fun today. And next year,
we hope to see you in actual person.
If we all get vaccinated, again, we already are. We're just saying, get vaccinated so that we really can knock this COVID thing to the curb. So next year, we'll be back, Kentwood Library, food.
We love snacks.
Snacks, barbecue. I don't want to make you hungry and remembering
But
what we had
hopefully
last
you
year.
ordered some food.
Hopefully you're all set, ready to go. Food and a beverage.
Yes, of your choice.
Beverage of your choice, because if you're at home, it can be your choice.
Absolutely.
So at this time,
We're going to introduce
our hosts for the
Phil
evening,
Tower and...
Nick Vanderwall.
Hey, guys.
Take it away, fellas.
Well, thank you, Dave and Dr. Kimberly, and we are live here for the 31st celebration of the ADA. I am Phil Tower, along with Nick Vanderwall. Make sure, by the way, speaking of Dave and Dr. Kimberly, to check their weekly Facebook stream. It is worth watching, Rolling on the Road, and we appreciate you being a part of this as, we're kind of learning in this process and, kind of enjoying the whole process along the way as I reboot my teleprompter here on live video. We'll get this thing going. This is an important celebration. We will be talking about the ADA and how it has changed life for you, Nick, and for me as well. And I think most importantly, we're here to put a focus on this. And everybody's experience is
Equest Center for Therapeutic Riding serves individuals with physical, mental.
Absolutely, Phil. Thank you so much, everybody, for tuning in, whether or not you're on YouTube or you're on Facebook. I want to welcome you into our annual Disability Advocates of Kent County's annual celebration of the ADA. I am Nick Vanderwall. I am an average male, bearded, losing hair on top, but I have hair on the face. Khakis, black striped shirt, polo. And I have my leader dog, Hodgins. He's a black lab. He wants to remind you to like this live stream on Soch and share the heck out of it. Please share the heck out of it. And make sure to use the hashtag thanks to the ADA.
And this year, Nick, we are celebrating 31 years since the Americans with Disabilities Act was signed by President George H.W. Bush. The ADA prohibits discrimination against individuals with disabilities in all areas of public life, including jobs, schools, transportation, all public and private places that are open to the general public. The purpose of the ADA law is to make sure that people who live life daily, like you and I do with a disability, have the same rights and opportunities and access as everyone else. It's all about inclusion and inclusiveness, which is really important. It's one of those buzzwords you hear a lot about, but it matters. That's why you hear so much about it.
Yes, absolutely. Inclusion is wonderful. And tonight's live stream will feature performances by Arts in Motion, and we'll even have, like Dr. Kim said, John Kusku, a Paralympian. He's a goal ball player, silver medalist, and my good friend. So look forward to having those.
Yeah, I'm interested to hear more from John because I know zero about goal ball, and if the fact he's a Paralympian, that's all I need to know. He's worth celebrating, and that's pretty cool. And of course, as we already heard, we will have a special video from DisArt, our keynote presentation, worth hearing from a real pioneer in the movement, Clark Goodrich. And
prizes. Who doesn't love prizes, Phil?
of course. I'm only here for the prizes.
Absolutely. Can we win, though? I don't know.
I don't think we are eligible.
Darn
I think there is a prohibition for that. So anyway, we are going to be making this very interactive. We're live as you're watching us on Facebook and on YouTube. We love your comments on Facebook, and you can leave them there. The YouTube comments have been disabled, but make sure you are interactive with us on Facebook. And by the way, we have 3 questions for you in this live celebration, 31 years of the ADA. Each question has 3 randomly selected winners, and 1 lucky entrant who answers all 3 questions will win a $50 Visa gift card, which is kind of cool. So we're going to make this worth your while to watch, and we hope you will continue to be a part of the celebration.
And YouTube comments are back up and working.
Okay,
so.
we have late breaking news from Michael. YouTube comments are now live, and we'd love them on there as well too. We are multi-platform tonight. And if you're on Twitter or Instagram, you can use hashtag ADA31, and we have some other ones we'll be using for our contest as well. So Nick, you have information about our first question.
I do. You can win a $10 Meyer gift card, and the question is, why do you celebrate the ADA?
And be sure to use the hashtag for this one, hashtag ADA Celebrate, with your answer to ensure that we see your comment. Again, to answer our first question for a $10 Meyer gift card, use hashtag ADA Celebrate with your answer to ensure your comment.
And yeah, so we couldn't have a celebration like this one without community partners and sponsors. So we're going to be hearing from our community partners throughout the event, but let's thank our first sponsor, Applied Imaging.
And we would like to thank Applied Imaging for over 30 years. As I catch up with the teleprompter here, for over 30 years, Applied Imaging has helped businesses across the nation effectively communicate and manage the flow of information. Applied Imaging is a local owned and operated business, is headquartered right here in Grand Rapids. Applied Imaging is great to help you with every aspect of your organization, from document creation to destruction and everything in between. Products and services from Applied Imaging include IT services, telephony and carrier services, shredding, copiers and printers, electric content management, production print, backfile conversion, managed print services, and more. With a live customer loyalty center that is there to take your calls, and award-winning products, service, and culture. Applied Imaging has the experience and resources to exceed your expectations. Come see what everyone's talking about at www.appliedimaging.com. And we would like to thank Applied Imaging for their support of this live ADA celebration. Nick?
The Applied Imaging supports the ADA because they believe in equal access for all individuals, and they discourage discrimination and exclusion of those disabilities. Accessibility and equality are some things that Applied Imaging is proud to advocate for, and they are so honored to be here with us for this special event.
Thanks, Nick. And you know, this is a special celebration. For just a moment, we'd like to take a look back for a couple of minutes at some of the past ADA celebrations that have happened with DAKC, Disability Advocates. a great slideshow, and really one thing you notice looking at those slides is a lot of smiles, a lot of diversity, and people from all walks of life, all ages, celebrating the ADA. And Nick, next up in our program tonight, as we celebrate 31 years of the Americans with Disabilities Act, we have Michael Williams from Disability Advocates. He's got a special conversation with U.S. Paralympic goalball silver medalist, that's goalball silver medalist, John Couscous, somebody that you know. So, Michael, take it away.
So we're here with John Couscous, U.S. goalball Paralympian silver medalist from Rio, correct?
That's right.
So I need you to tell me a little bit about goalball, because quite frankly, other than what I've looked up on Wikipedia, I don't know much.
Yeah, absolutely. So in the Paralympics, we have parallel sports to the sports that are in the Olympics. Goalball is the exception. It has no parallel, but it's played by 3 players against 3 players. All 3 players wear blacked out ski goggles, so there's no vision at all. I'm legally blind, but I do have a little bit of central vision, so it wouldn't be fair to me to play against someone else who has no vision. And we play with a ball that has bells in it. We throw it back and forth, trying to get it in the other team's goal.
That sounds like a lot of fun. That sounds like something I'd enjoy, trying to chase these bells around. So how long have you been playing?
So I started, probably my first time playing ever was in 1991. And my first time competing at more advanced level against athletes from all over North America was in 1999. And then I've been on the USA team since 2010. So kind of a progression there.
We had mentioned there's no Olympic parallel to goalball. Is there then a parallel for all Olympic sports in the Paralympics?
Every Paralympic sport has its parallel in the Olympics. So in the Paralympics, we have seated basketball, like wheelchair basketball, and in the Olympics, they have basketball. And in the Paralympics, we have all the track and field events for different classifications of disability. And in the Olympics, they have all the same track and field events.
We're muted, right?
So every other sport in the Paralympics has a parallel except goalball.
I just want to make sure.
All right.
And
then you said you wear ski masks, right? Is that what you said?
Yeah, so it's it's like a pair of ski goggles, except instead of having a clear visor, it's just totally blacked out.
And it says,
oh, cool. So a more effective blindfold than a bandana.
Yeah, absolutely. Yep.
So tell me about your experience in Rio. I know you took silver. Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, it's incredible. You know, we walked out into the opening ceremony and to have thousands of people just chanting and cheering, and my son at home and wife they watched me on national television march into that opening ceremony. And you know, our first game was I think there were about 6,000 people in the stands, and by our semifinal, we semifinaled against Brazil. I think there were over 10,000 people in the stands to watch that game. So just a totally unreal experience. And for a sport where you have to be quiet in the stands in order to play, you can't really get 10,000 people as quiet as you need them to be. So we just had to make do.
No, getting 10,000 people to be quiet ever is always a challenge. So I heard you also just recently competed in a tournament in Nashville. Is that correct?
Yeah, me and my Michigan teammates on the Michigan Omega went down to Nashville a week and a half ago, and we got a second place medal we came home with. So that was really a lot of fun and very rewarding for us.
Exciting. So I know with the Olympics, usually there's rules about like competing elsewhere too close. Is that not the case with the Paralympics then?
I'm not really sure. You know, it wasn't like the type of competition that they would be worried about, since this was just a within the USA competition. So this one would kind of be considered like a friendly preparation competition.
All right. What exactly does a goal ball look like?
I'm so glad you asked. I have one right here. So this is a goal ball. It's about the same size as a basketball, and it's blue, and it's pretty noisy. it has a couple sleigh bells inside, so you can hear it while it's moving down the court.
So pretty much a giant cat toy.
Yeah.
You also had mentioned earlier when I was talking to you that the medals make noise for the Paralympics too. Can you show me that and talk about that a
Yeah.
little bit?
Yeah, sounds good. So this is my silver medal from Rio in 2016. And on the front face, it has all kinds of cool designs. I like the back better because it says Rio 2016 in Braille. And to help people who are blind differentiate the gold, silver, and bronze, they all made a different amount of noise. So here's the silver. And the gold was a little louder and the bronze a little quieter.
That is so cool. I love that. So heading to Tokyo, have you ever been there before? Are you looking forward to this?
I've never been to Tokyo, and I'm extremely excited. It's going to be a little bit on lockdown, but all the pomp and circumstance and ceremony and such makes it really exciting, regardless if I'm able to go on any excursions.
Yeah, absolutely. So do you get to actually participate in any of that pomp and circumstance? I know it's usually a big deal, but like you said, there's a bit of a lockdown. You'll be fresh into the country. So how much do you actually get to participate in that?
Yeah, good questions. Normally there's a welcoming ceremony. I'm not sure if that'll happen or not, but the big opening ceremony in the big stadium, we do get to participate in. I'm very excited about that. And unfortunately, for goalball athletes, we will all be missing the closing ceremony because one of the requirements is you have to be out of the country within 48 hours of competition, and goalball ends about 50 hours before the closing ceremony. So we will have to miss that one.
Oh, that's too bad. So does that mean if you miss a closing, well, I guess you still get a medal ceremony, just you don't get the closing ceremony. Okay. And so for all of our viewers, if they want to follow you or check out Goalball when in Tokyo, what's your social media account? I'm sure you'll be sharing lots of material for everybody.
Yeah, unfortunately, we don't know if Goalball will be broadcast in the USA or not. If it is, it'll be on that NBC Sports app or Peacock. But if it's not, at Mr. Cuscu, so at MRKUSKU is my Twitter handle. And from there, you can find all my other social media as well.
Well, John, thank you so much for joining us here at Disability Advocates for this interview. We wish you the very best in Tokyo and hope you have a great rest of your day.
Thank you so much.
Now, that was cool. I learned something. I know as you and I watched that video, you learned something as well, Nick, about the medals.
I think we both commented at the same time. Wow, we didn't know that.
So in case you missed that little interesting factoid, not only were the Paralympian medals that John Cuscu had brailled, of course, for people with visual impairments, they had a special noise indicative of the certain medal color, so that it would kind of ring at a different tone if you had a silver, a gold, or a bronze. And the cool things And tell us, Nick, real quickly, how do you know John Cuscu?
John actually, I went to a special camp. I am trying to remember the name of it right now. It's escaping me. Sorry, John Couchy. He is a disability advocate employee, and he's one of the hosts of the event. But it's down at Western, Michigan. It's a sports camp for the visually impaired and blind. And he was my counselor there for several years. And he was my coach for goalball on the national youth team, or at least Michigan's team. So,
well, obviously he's a great advocate for the game and for education, and just really for, I think, the benefit of everybody, those who don't live life with any kind of disability, whether it's hearing or physical or a vision impairment, to understand about the Paralympics and that unique one game, which does not have a comparable sport for the Olympics. So goalball is only for Paralympians. So Nick, as we move on, it's important that we thank our sponsors, and you have another sponsor to thank.
We do. Custer Inc. is the next sponsor.
Yeah, and we want to thank Custer Inc. In fact, we are coming to you live from Custer's beautiful office here in downtown in Grand Rapids. Their showroom, which is one of those converted old warehouse buildings that is just a showcase of beauty. For 40 years, Custer has created exceptional workspaces that augment meaningful connections and empower people to do their best work. Custer designs and builds environments that maximize productivity, we like that, and a sense of purpose, drawing on extensive research and established expertise, providing full-service solutions including workplace strategy, design, integrated technology, custom solutions, and furniture. Custer delivers spaces that inspire and support great work. And we are experiencing one of those great spaces right now here at Custer in downtown Grand Rapids as we are live for the celebration of ADA 31. Nick?
We want to thank Custer, we want to thank Custer and for the opportunity to support and work alongside disability advocates, their passion to give every person the opportunity to live their best lives is an inspiration to us all. They would like to acknowledge how fortunate we are to have a disability advocates team so close to assist West Michigan families, friends, and neighbors.
And we also want, again, as we have, appropriately acknowledge and shout out the great people at Custer Inc. for the use of this beautiful world-class facility for our live stream tonight as we celebrate ADA at 31.
Next up, we have Jackie O'Connor. She's part of the Area Agency on Aging of West Michigan. Take it away, Jackie.
We are happy to be with Disability Advocates of Kent County today to celebrate the 31st year of the Americans with Disability Act passage. This is a very special occasion, as so many individuals have the right to actively engage in their communities safely. At the Area Agency on Aging of Western Michigan, our mission is to provide older adults and persons with a disability an array of services designed to promote independence and dignity in their homes and communities. AAAWM is the source for seniors in Allegan, Ionia, Kent, Lake, Mason, Mecosta, Mount Calm, Newaygo, and Osceola counties. Because we directly serve those individuals with disabilities through community supports and the My Choice Medicaid Waiver Program, we have seen firsthand the support these programs can make in individual lives and how protections granted through ADA can make a difference. We value our partnerships with organizations like Disability Advocates who help clients live safe and independent lives in their own homes. Through our work to connect individuals to quality services that promote and preserve their dignity, independence, and well-being, we see ADA in action each day. We partner with Disability Advocates specifically through the Kent County Senior Millage on home modification assessments, adaptive equipment, hearing aids, and specialized hearing services. Individuals deserve to live the lives of their choosing, and supports such as these make this possible. Disability Advocates has been a longtime partner, and in working with them, we have seen how a client's life can be changed for the better through accessibility. Through the Senior Millage, Disability Advocates does a fantastic job collaborating with other community agencies to ensure all the client's needs are met. For example, teaming up with home repair services to build a ramp for a client to improve their accessibility and independence. ADA has undoubtedly shaped the last 31 years in creating positive change for those with disabilities, but the fight continues forward. As more advancements are made in accessibility features and services for these individuals, we hope to see opportunities and protections expand even further.
And we would like to thank Jackie from the Area Agency on Aging of West Michigan, one of the key partners along with disability advocates of Kent County. We are about to thank and acknowledge one of our main sponsors tonight. We have several main sponsors. We will get to that in just a moment. But we also want to let you know the Area Agency on Aging of West Michigan is one of those key organizations that disability advocates partners with along the way throughout our community. And we are really grateful that they are able to join us tonight as we celebrate 31 years of ADA. So Nick, we are about ready to announce one of our first winners.
Yes. Again, it was to win a $10 Meyer gift card, and the question was, why do you celebrate the ADA?
I think that's a pretty easy question, but we're looking forward to our answer. Again, we asked you our viewers, why do you celebrate the ADA? And we have late notice. We have a winner, and he's not a surprise to this broadcast and the ADA. Clark Goodrich is our winner. He wins the $10 Meyer gift card. Shout out to you, Clark Goodrich. Congratulations.
Okay. Yeah. We would like to take a moment to thank another local partner, Downtown Grand Rapids, Inc.
And Downtown Grand Rapids, Inc. is the organization that's responsible for city building and place management in the urban core here of the city of Grand Rapids. Established in 2013, DGRI, as they are known, serves as the singular management entity for the combined operations of the Downtown Development Authority, Downtown Improvement District, and the Monroe North Tax Increment Finance Authority. In addition to overseeing these groups, DGRI is guided by a board of advisors and 5 separate alliances comprised of citizen volunteers that help guide DGRI's work and investment. Now, in total, DGRI actively engages more than 100 unique individuals from Metro Grand Rapids in the decision-making flow of the organization's fiduciary boards, advisory alliances, and project steering committees. This robust leadership network ensures DGRI continually brings together people with different knowledge, perspective, and experience to solve problems, identify opportunities, and directly support the day-to-day work of improving Grand Rapids, which is so important in the Grand Rapids downtown neighborhoods. Nick?
Cities for far too long have been built without thinking about how physical and social barriers exclude and affect the people with disabilities. Downtown Grand Rapids Incorporated intentionally aspires to build a neighborhood without barriers, and that is inclusive and welcoming to all. And they want to make it easy for everyone to go places. That is why DGRI supports and celebrates the ADA.
Disability Advocates, again, is proud to partner and work closely with DGRI on downtown pathway assessments and our test pilot program to ensure that pedestrian pathways are completely accessible. And in reality, it makes the city a better place for all to visit.
Speaking of pathways, John Couchy, a disability advocate employee, was recently on the street to ask people about the ADA. Let's check that out.
So what do you know about the ADA?
All I really know about the ADA is they have something to do with like ramps and everything, but I don't know much more other than that.
What do you know about the ADA?
Not a lot.
Not at all.
What is the ADA?
ADA. I'm drawing a blank.
What is the ADA?
American Disabilities Act.
That is correct. Have you ever heard of the ADA, and what does that stand for?
I have not. I think I've heard it before. I just don't know what it means. Yeah.
The American Disabilities Act.
The ADA, I actually have no idea.
You know, I don't know, but something with disability, right?
The can's a giveaway, isn't it? Yeah.
You said no's not an answer, but I don't know.
Okay, it is the
American Disability Act.
Bingo, there we go. Who was the president who signed the ADA?
I have no idea.
Give me your best guess.
John Kennedy.
Roosevelt.
I don't know. No guesses. No.
Can I guess for her?
Yeah.
Obama.
Who was the president who signed the Americans with Disabilities Act?
Kennedy, maybe?
Oh, gosh. Reagan?
Bill Clinton.
Close, but no cigar.
My best guess would be Obama.
Do you know who the president was who signed that law?
No, sir. I don't.
You want to take a random guess? I'll give you a hint. It wasn't Washington.
Abraham Lincoln.
Abraham Lincoln. He did a lot of good things. The ADA was not one of them. You want to give me your best guess?
President Bush.
Which Bush?
I don't know.
Yeah, there's two of them. It was President George H.W. Bush. It's actually George H.W.
Oh, wow. That late in the world?
Yeah, it was signed right before I was born. They were preemptively ready for me. How has disability affected your life?
I definitely have friends who are affected with certain disabilities, whether it is that they can't walk or they are blind or things like that, but it's a life I don't live, so I don't really have much experience personally.
I respect it, and anyone who's going through it, whatever I can do to help kind of thing. So that's why I'm here, standing in front of you today.
I think disability is kind of just like anything that impedes everyday life, stuff that makes life challenging. For me, my parents work with Capernaum, which is a special, people with disabilities can come and they hang out. And so I've gotten to hang out with a lot of people with, particularly like adults with disabilities, and it's been really fun.
How has disability affected your life?
Oh, actually, I have a sister with disability.
I actually have two cousins who have special needs, and because of that, I went into the special education profession, and I try to volunteer as much as I can in the community.
Actually, my uncle has disabilities, and I think that everyone should be equal, even if they look different, or they sound different, or they can't talk.
Well, me personally, I am technically disabled.
I get my words mixed up, so I'll read something. Yes, whatever you said, dyslexia. And I was in special ed since I was in elementary school. I'm now in college, and it's kind of embarrassing to read out loud in front of people because I'll read ahead and then when I say it, it sounds completely backwards and I hate it. But I would say it helped me grow as a person, actually be patient with myself and not be mad at myself or be hard on myself because I'm not like other people.
We see it everywhere, and we all have it in some way, shape, or form, I think.
So my first question for you is, what is the ADA? It's give me that treat. I got it. Go ahead. Thank you very much.
That was some good stuff. Well done, John Couchy. I enjoyed that very much. It's not a surprise, Nick, to see a lot of people didn't know what the ADA stood for. Although it was nice, as we watched that video and heard some of the comments, I think it was good that a lot of people at least had some frame of reference for a person living life with a disability in their own family or a group of friends or something like that.
Yeah, that was great to hear. Obviously, it's unfortunate to hear that so many people are at least related or at least know of somebody who is disabled. But but it's really disappointing that nobody really knows about the ADA. It's been out there for 31 years. It's just, that part is a little disappointing. We need to do a lot better job as citizens, as politicians, leaders, to get out there and just promote it.
Yeah, and I think it's really important for people to understand and appreciate that the ADA has made life more accessible, not only for people with disabilities, but it's made life easier for people with all kinds of abilities and those who don't live life with some kind of an obvious disability. Even somebody who may be slowed because of an injury, football injury or an accident or something like that. It's something that I think I've heard from a lot of people who don't live life with a disability, that they appreciate those changes as well. So now we're back to talk about prizes, Nick, which
Absolutely.
is, of course,
prizes
a fun part of our
is what we're all here
evening.
for, I think.
Yes.
Yeah, it's the second prize. So what's the question, Phil?
Yeah, it's another opportunity to win a prize. We first, Michael has handed me a card with our first question winners. In addition to Clark Goodrich, Michael has the names Kristen Kelling and Ann Demansky, who all were winners of that $10 Meijer gift card in our first question. So it's time for another question. And this question, are you ready, everybody? Tell us how the ADA has affected your own life. Be sure to tell us how the ADA has affected your own life.
Remember to use the hashtag MyADA. That is my, M-Y, ADA.
We will be selecting 3 random winners from this question for $10 gift cards to Big B Coffee. Shout out to Big B.
And while you're answering those questions, check out this great submission from Disart.
Text on a black screen. In March 2020, Disart and artist Oakley Thiele began the My Dearest Friends project by collecting stories from the disabled community confronted with the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic. Through podcast interviews and personal submissions illustrated by Thiele, the project unites the global disabled community while documenting this moment in history and preserving our culture. The screen remains black as the first voice begins.
My dearest friends, what do you see when you see me? Someone who is weak, vulnerable. I am one of many with a powerful voice. Can you hear us screaming that we deserve equality? Will you listen to those screams, or will you let them continue to go unheard?
Fade in on a pair of hands, many black and white charcoal drawings on white paper spread on a glass desk. The left hand picks up black charcoal and writes, My Dearest Friends.
I'm Oakley Thiele, and I'm the artist who has partnered with Disart to create the My Dearest Friends project.
Oakley continues writing. The view sweeps across, revealing a full-page letter that also starts with, My Dearest Friends.
So I, like everyone else, had been reading so many different news stories and articles about the pandemic, about specifically how, the disabled community was at the highest risk.
Drawings and letters on the walls, edge to edge. Oakley climbs a wooden ladder, a drawing and hammer in her left hand.
I kept witnessing, disabled lives, kind of being tossed aside. And I had written that letter in response to all those articles, and it was just kind of my way of addressing, my disabled community.
Above the other drawings, she positions an illustration and hammers the nail into the top of the page.
And kind of begging them to, remember this pandemic.
Back at the desk, a drawing of a house and a beaming sun. She fills the sun with black charcoal, adds the finished drawing to a stack. Back at the wall, the old wooden ladder near the corner.
I'm tired of our lives being considered as expendable.
A fluffy shepherd dog joins Oakley. She commands the dog to sit, climbs the ladder, nails another picture in the array. Drawing again, a person in striped trousers and a mask who stands beside their oxygen tank.
We're groundbreakers. We're groundbreakers, right? Because I really think that this is going to change, like working remotely is going to change the way everybody does work, right? And I think maybe I'm hoping that it will further naturalize or regularize work days, right?
Now, Oakley squats to add a picture near the bottom. The dog crowds between her and the ladder, wagging its giant tail. Now Oakley kneels, the dog leans in for a hug.
We've had to be creative out of necessity, right? And it's just the larger population has that same necessity thrust upon it now. So it's taking on a whole new significance because the larger population is dealing with it now.
Oakley presses her forehead to the top of the dog's head. She now sketches a dog in a vest on a blank page on the wall.
My dearest friends, I'm not sorry that I'm disabled, and I don't want anyone else to feel sorry for me either. If there's anything you should be sorry about, it's systemic discrimination of people with disability. And if you're truly sorry about that, you'll start taking actions to dismantle ableism. I don't need your pity. I need you to learn, embrace, and become more inclusive of me and all other people with disability.
The walls filling with letters and drawings, Oakley commands the dog down. Oakley and the dog snuggle.
My dearest friends, may we be flanked by the protection of each other's care. May we rest. May we hold space for each other in the stillness. May our voices find audience, and may others begin to listen. May we scream until the world comes to equally value our lives, full of sage experience and pre-existing conditions.
Oakley flops backward. The dog sneaks a kiss. Laughing, Oakley twists and scrambles up. She speaks to the dog, whose ears perk.
But I do want people to open their eyes and realize that what they're experiencing right now is something that is temporary for them. And it has been rather permanent for many of us. And I hope that they understand it better and they'll do something.
Oakley stacks drawing upon drawing. In the grass and peering up at a starry night sky, someone in a hospital bed, a wheelchair user pointing at the moon, someone walking with a guide dog, a person standing with a walker, the Disart logo.
My dearest friends, we mustn't let this be forgotten, the time the world gained perspective on a small portion of our struggles. We must make sure that this moment goes down in history so that we can build a better world, a more accessible world, a world for everyone, a world for us.
Oakley's handwriting in black on a white screen. Credits in order: Mary Fashik, Oakley Thiele, Nancy Hansen, Jason Climo, Whitney Mashburn, Jane Hash. Oakley Thiele, www.oakleythiele.com. Disart, www.disartnow.org. Dystopia. Special thanks Ford Foundation, Cheryl Green, Kendra Larson. Song licensed through The Music Bed, with Love, cinematic version by Analog Heart.
And thank you to those of you who have joined us live on Facebook, live on YouTube. That was a great video from the folks at Disart. Thank you, Chris and Jill, and I hope that inspired you to think more about people living lives with a disability. As one of the people said in the audio you heard, with that really, I think, powerful visual narrative in the background, you heard them feeling expendable. The person who actually felt expendable. And Nick, no human being ever wants to feel that feeling where they were so devalued or so unvalued for their being and for their contributions, even with a person with a disability. It's really tragic to hear that, but it's also empowering to hear them courageously say, I'm tired of feeling expendable.
Absolutely, Phil. You know, and I've been there along with probably most people who have a disability. And, you know, I just want to take this time right now to, during this pandemic, it's been awful for a lot of people. Shut-ins, people with disabilities who can't get out on the street and get out. So just reach out to them. Anybody who's watching, just if you're thinking of somebody, just reach out to them and say, hey, how you doing? Mental health, as we know, during this pandemic has been awful for a lot of people, and depression has gone way up. And I just want to just remind everybody just to reach out to their neighbors, their friends who possibly maybe a shut-in or may not be able to get out there and enjoy life like normal.
That's really, really important, and thank you for saying that. We want to shout out again Mobile GR. They are a City of Grand Rapids department. You may see some of their vehicles around Grand Rapids, and they work to provide the residents of our great city, workers and visitors with modern mobility options and solutions. They are part of what makes us a great city, and Mobile GR manages transportation programs like the Dash Bus, the new shared scooter and bicycle pilot programs. And by the way, we need three-wheeled scooters for those of us with disabilities. I'm just a little shout out on that. Let's work on that. They enforce parking violations throughout the city of Grand Rapids. No comment on those bright green tickets, as well as operating a parking system made up of street parking, ramps, and lots. They are essential to our vibrant city, and Mobile GR also maintains traffic safety elements, such as the bike lanes and the traffic signals. They make sure we don't run into each other. Mobile GR's goal is to increase everyone's quality of life by supporting and improving mobility, transportation, and parking within Grand Rapids. So shout out to Mobile GR. Nick?
All right. Mobile GR supports the ADA by focusing on accessibility and equitable mobility. And that is why their partnership with Disability Advocates of Kent County means so much to us and them. We appreciate them for joining this event, and we are so excited to have them join Disability Advocates for our live stream of the celebration of the Americans with Disabilities Act.
As we are live with you on YouTube and Facebook as we celebrate 31 years of the Americans with Disabilities Act, signed into law in 1990 by President George H.W. Bush. Next up, we have Rowan O'Doherty from Deaf and Hard of Hearing Services with a special message.
Hello, I'm Rowan O'Doherty, and I am the president for Deaf and Hard of Hearing Services, also called DHHS. And being a part of this celebration gives me a lot of pleasure and honor. The Americans with Disabilities Act, or ADA, is an important piece of legislation that allows my organization to address discrimination that prevents the deaf, deafblind, and hard of hearing people from participating in everyday life. The fact remains that discrimination based on disability or using a unique style of communication is an act of oppression. One of the main things we at DHHS advocate for our community regarding ADA is functional equivalency. For example, before ADA was enacted in 1990, communication technologies for the deaf were archaic and awkward to use. Post-1990 development of technologies went into overdrive with the introduction of video phones, video interpreting, and even video messaging to replace text, allowing us to use our own language of ASL. Unfortunately, we see that these technologies have not yet reached functional equivalency as compared to wider society, and we believe more work and development is needed. Titles 1 through 3 imposes accessibility requirements and functional equivalency in employment and on public accommodations. Still, there is a lack of awareness in the community on ADA and rights to accommodations. That lack of understanding and awareness results in a prejudiced population. After 31 years, we cannot rest on our laurels. We need to roll up our sleeves and continue with the work of advocating for our rights to accommodations and to educate until society is accepting and competent of other lifestyles. We here at DHHS accomplish this through our advocacy work, along with offering cultural and sensitivity training. We have come a long way in receiving accommodations, but we still have a long way to go in achieving functional equivalency, especially in the deaf, deafblind, and hard of hearing community that we serve. Thank you.
And we want to thank DHHS for providing ASL interpreters for tonight's event.
Key part of our 31-year celebration for ADA. And Nick, we've got a few more winners. Our second question of the night here as we talk about the ADA. This time around, a $10 Big B Coffee gift card. And our three winners for question number 2.
And what was that question again there, Phil?
What did the ADA do for you, I think was the question?
Yes.
Good enough. John Couchy, as a matter of fact, who was our great man on the street. John, shout out to you and the great job in the video you did.
Wonderful.
I think you have a future in television. John's answer was, it gave me the opportunity I wouldn't have had otherwise. Well said. Kristen Kelling was another one of our winners, and Jessica Strantz as well. So again, we asked how the ADA has affected your life, and it's really hard to imagine how it could have been anything but positive and a helpful change for people. So as we move along tonight, next up, I'm told is very exciting, so exciting. Are you ready for this? We're going to get a performance from Arts in Motion on the Blue Bridge downtown. We must warn all of our viewers ahead of time. This next performance, are you ready for this? Contains music that we do not own the rights to. If for some reason the stream is dropped, if the folks at YouTube pull the plug, we'll be right back live. That would be Facebook as well too. Just refresh your page and watch for us to return. We may go through a costume change. It's really hard to tell, but either way, we will be back live. Hopefully that doesn't happen because, ladies and gentlemen, this performance is magical.
Close my eyes and I can see a world that's waiting up for me, that I call my own. Through the dark, through the door, through where no one's been before, but it feels like home. They can say it all sounds crazy. They can say I've lost my mind. I don't care if they call me crazy. We can live in a world that we design. 'Cause every night I lie in bed, the brightest colors fill my head. A million dreams are keeping me awake. I think of what the world could be, a vision of the one I see. A million dreams is all it's gonna take. Oh, a million dreams for the world we're gonna make. There's a house we can build. Every room inside is filled with things from far away. Special things I compile, each one there to make you smile on a rainy day. They can say it all sounds crazy. They can say we've lost our minds. See, I don't care if they call us crazy. we're gonna make. However big, however small, let me be part of it all. Share your dreams with me. We may be right, we may be wrong, but I wanna bring you along to the world I see, to the world we close our eyes to see. We close our eyes to see. Every night I lie in bed, the brightest colors fill my head. A million dreams are keeping me awake. I think the world could be a vision of the one I see. A million dreams is all it's gonna take. A million dreams for the world we're gonna make. For the world we're gonna make.
By Arts in Motion, and they're dancing on the Blue Bridge. Pretty cool to see that happen. I don't know about you.
Well,
You're not going to
lo-
catch me dancing in public
Well,
in any way, shape,
never.
or form.
No,
Yes.
but I certainly liked the music video from Pink, or I should say the song from Pink. I couldn't necessarily see the dance, but I'm sure it was beautiful.
It was great, and I think at this point we have to do what is a part of any live or pre-recorded TV or video program. We have to thank some people, Nick.
Yes, we have to thank Steelcase, our community partner and sponsor for this event.
They are sensitive to people living with disabilities. Most importantly, Steelcase is known as a company that leads the way in creating great experiences by offering a range of architecture, furniture, technology, and products and services designed to help people reach their full potential, even people who live life with a disability.
Yeah. And Steelcase supports the ADA because it sets a baseline for creating spaces that are inclusive. Excuse me. At no other time in history has there been the need and opportunity to unlock the promise of employees in a manner that is adaptable, human-centered, and inclusive. Steelcase is committed to meeting the standards set by the ADA in advancing design of workplaces where every team member can contribute, not despite their identities, but because of them.
And we'd like to thank Steelcase for helping make this another fun and exciting celebration of the Americans with Disabilities Act, 31 years as we celebrate today.
It's time for our final question before the big grand prize. It's a $10 gift card to Amazon. And the question is, how would you improve upon the ADA? How would you improve upon the ADA?
And again, the question, 3 random answers will win for a chance to win that Amazon gift card. How would you improve the ADA? I think I would have cake and ice cream delivered to everybody in the world.
That sounds delicious.
Probably by a person living life with a disability. By the way, use hashtag #FutureADA with your answers. Be sure to use hashtag #FutureADA with your answers. And Michael tells us you can leave comments both on our Facebook page and on our YouTube page, where we are streaming live tonight from downtown Grand Rapids and Custer's beautiful facility here in the heart of Grand Rapids. And this is a great place. We want to thank Disability Advocates and James, our live video production team, for making this very easy. And Nick, I'm just glad that you are here, because if I was a man doing this solo, I wouldn't be nearly as comfortable as I am now. Almost as comfortable as your guide dog, Hodgins, who is sleeping on the floor next to us, which I hope, Hodgins, that's no indication of the quality of the content we're talking about tonight.
I hope not. But I have a feeling he sleeps all the time, you know.
Yeah, he's a happy dog. He's a beautiful dog as well, too. He's a black lab.
Labs are the best, so.
Yeah, they are great dogs. So what is coming up next, Nick?
A video from one of our community partners, eQuest.
eQuest Center for Therapeutic Riding serves individuals with physical, mental, and social emotional disabilities ages 2 through over 100. Our clients and their families put a lot of heart and soul and immense effort into their sessions at eQuest to gain mobility, speech, muscle control, improved motor planning, confidence, independence, and so many other skills. The list is endless. The gains seen with equine therapy are amazing and make a major impact on the quality of life that they have and their ability to reach their fullest potential. But the ADA makes these gains even more impactful. It allows our clients equal access, structures, resources, and opportunities to put these gains to use in everyday life, at school, in the workplace, at home, and in the community as part of the community. And that's a really powerful thing. eQuest serves 185 individuals with a wide variety of disabilities and needs each week on a year-round basis. The ADA has provided knowledge and guidance and structure to help us serve our clients better. In the construction and renovation of our facility a number of years ago, it provided much needed knowledge of what modifications and structures were needed to serve our clients that we have in the most appropriate way. It helps us do our work in an even more impactful way. All of our clients are impacted by the ADA laws. I just became aware of how these laws also impact parents and the caregivers of those that are disabled as well. I first came to eQuest Center as a parent of a little boy with autism and a number of other challenges. I didn't realize that there were laws like this that protected me as being a caregiver and a parent as well. That made a major impact on me learning that. My son has been impacted by many accommodations in school, including communication devices, visual schedules, certain structures set up for him, special sensory accommodations, and having aids to help him, to name a few. At eQuest Center, we have a vocational and job training program. These programs are very individualized to meet the needs of each client. There are many stories we could tell about how the ADA has impacted these individuals. We're thinking of one particular young man who absolutely blossomed in so many ways from this program. With his aid and the accommodations needed, he was able to get 3 jobs. He didn't want 1, he didn't want 2, he wanted 3 that he loved going to. And the sense of independence and pride that this gave this man was just priceless. He just blossomed. As far as how is the ADA relevant today, I don't think it could be any more relevant than at any other time. There is so much more to do to make sure that all have the same access to the same rights. I also believe that education in the entire community is critical about the experiences of those with disabilities and the needs that they do have. There's so much to learn and find answers for, and I think there's a great deal of individuals who just aren't aware of the needs these individuals have. There will likely be a time in all of our lives when the need for ADA will be more important than ever. Whether it be illness that comes up, issues from growing older, caring for someone with a disability, the list is endless. The ADA is very important, very appreciated in my life and my son's, and certainly has had a major impact in everybody that we serve at eQuest Center for Therapeutic Riding.
ride. That is an experience that I have yet to enjoy, and someday I'm going to have to take them up on that. Just really great. And you know what I liked about that video, Nick, from the Equus Center was told through the eyes and through the life of a parent of a child who's living with a disability. Completely different experience than what the average parent has to deal with. It throws an entire set of obstacles and challenges, yet at the same time really opportunities for these parents. So I think that was incredibly well done, and I'd like to thank the parent who narrated that video. It just really is a great way to underscore the importance of the Americans with Disabilities Act.
Thank you much to Kathy for that interpretation and audible announcements, I guess, during that whole thing. Beautiful, beautiful video.
So we have another sponsor acknowledgement, somebody we need to shout out here, Nick, and you have the honor of doing that.
Yes, it is Triumph Music Academy. They are our awesome videographers tonight. So.
Triumph Music Academy is a unique and independent music school that strives to help individuals accomplish their musical dreams. They provide private lessons, classes, and workshops taught by some of our area's best professionals. Triumph Music Academy is open year-round to ages 8 all the way to adults and seniors. Triumph is West Michigan's highest-rated music school, which is very cool. So thank you, Triumph Music Academy.
Triumph celebrates the ADA because it has brought us closer to realizing that a society that promotes equal access without barriers, physical or otherwise, participation is a fundamental part of being human. And it is their belief, along with disability advocates, that continued improvement on the ADA is a worthwhile cause.
And we'd like to thank Triumph Music Academy, not only for sponsoring our live video event tonight, but for all of their work behind the scenes with the video and audio production that made this event possible. This is the real deal, and they are doing a great job. So thank you, Triumph Music Academy.
Thank you so much. We appreciate it.
Well, our next segment, Nick, is our keynote address. That's the big deal. This is where you need to get your popcorn, settle in to your easy chair. Our goal when we put this special celebration together as a video presentation was to give a timely, impassioned presentation. We needed a presenter who could speak eloquently to our current situation, but also give it a historical perspective. We wanted somebody capable of honoring both the Americans with Disabilities Act and the advocates who helped make it a reality, both nationally and locally. And we happen to have one of those heroes, one of those pioneers right here in West Michigan. Clark Goodrich is that guy. Everyone emphatically agreed that Clark was our man. Clark, affectionately known as the Weasel to advocates all around the country, has been a staple in the disability rights community in Grand Rapids for 30 years, since 1991. In fact, in 1994, Clark was Michigan's first-year class of partners in policymaking and was one of 4 plaintiffs who successfully sued GRADA at the time for non-compliance with the ADA. Clark's efforts were literally game changers for people living life with disabilities. And around the same time, Clark was awarded as an Advocate of the Year award from the state of Michigan. And from 1995 through 2006, Clark attended 22 out of 23 national actions with the advocacy group known as ADAPT, protesting with hundreds of other activists for needed change, for a change to Medicaid rules so people who need help with daily activities could receive those supports in their own homes and not have to live in a nursing home. Significant and important changes. Traveling by van, bus, train, and plane, Clark Goodrich helped hold the line with ADAPT in such cities like Baltimore, Lansing, Houston, Atlanta, Seattle, San Francisco, Columbus, Washington, D.C., all at least at a dozen times. And according to Clark, his greatest claims to fame were helping Robin Sealer and Dwayne DeRoche wrest back consumer control of Kent County RICC from agency types. His 14-day trek with 200 other adapters from Philadelphia to Washington, D.C. on the Free Our People March in 2013 was a key moment in his life. Ladies and gentlemen, he has fought alongside many of you here in city and county commission meetings. He's been a tireless advocate. He's also been active in Lansing with our lawmakers for Medicaid reform, improved public transportation, increased accessibility, affordable housing, greater accessibility of buildings and infrastructure, and higher wages for in-home caregivers. Here he is, full of spunk and activism, Clark the Weasel Goodrich.
I'm not sure whether to break into happy birthday or to, I should probably thank you for being here today. Well, wherever here is for you, and whenever today is, given that you could watch this at any time, these are really strange times, aren't they? And does anything speak to this strangeness better than that I have been granted the privilege of occupying your attention for the segment of the program? No. For me either. I could still hardly believe it myself. So listen, I don't know what all you've been through lately, but, let's just say I've been missing you all. Now, hopefully we'll trend, and this will be seen by a lot more people than I even know, much less those who I long to see again. So I should take a macro, wide lens approach here, but I feel like we have really all been through some kind of trauma, some more than others, and I think that's when people need you to take a more personal approach. So even if I am a stranger to you, please accept my kindness, my condolences, and my congratulations on making it through this thing so far. They are all sent to you with a certain level of understanding, and they come from the heart. And I'll trust you to receive them in whatever dose you need today, but they are yours. Kindness, condolence, and congratulations. Thank you for being here and for being you. Hang in there. Now, I've got a lot of really boring stories to walk you through before I attempt to make a cogent, cohesive conclusion, so let me get rolling here. In 1973, the Rehabilitation Act and its all-important Section 504 was signed into law. It would say that no program or activity receiving financial assistance from the federal government could exclude or deny people with disabilities based solely on their disabilities from participating in that program or activity. But it wasn't until 1977, 4 years later, when the U.S. Department of Health, Education, and Welfare finally wrote the regulations for the law, which meant that it couldn't be enforced in all that. What happened in 1977 finally brought the regulations into existence. Frank Bowe, a deaf American, an educator and activist, formed the American Coalition of Citizens with Disabilities and ultimately led a nationwide protest in which hundreds of people with disabilities either picketed outside or occupied as many as a dozen different federal buildings across the country. One of these protests was led by Judy Heumann in San Francisco. 150 occupiers of the inaccessible federal building climbed their way to the director's office on the 4th floor and stayed there until the regulations were finally signed, approximately 25 days later. This was the longest sit-in in a federal building in history and one of the most successful nationwide protests ever. And that was by us, people with disabilities, and their interpreters and caregivers and parents and supporters. I wasn't there. I was 5, but that's part of my history. It's your history. It belongs to all of us. We are amazing. We can do anything. A bright young man by the name of Ed Roberts contracted polio at the age of 14. Ed spent most of his time in what is known as an iron lung, a big cylinder with a hole on one end where his head stuck out that helped to force air into his lungs. For a long time, well, he has an amazing story, but for our purposes, he went to a community college in San Mateo, California, and was then accepted at UC Berkeley, University of California, that is, but the California Department of Vocational Rehabilitation, whom he needed assistance from to go, was pushing back. His counselor said, and I paraphrase, "Why should we spend the money to send you to Berkeley? It's not like someone with your condition will ever be able to get a job. This is just a waste of taxpayers' dollars." Yeah, but when Ed won that battle, got into Berkeley and set up in a room on campus big enough for him and all of his equipment, it opened the doors to a lot of other disabled students who'd been facing similar barriers. And not only did Ed Roberts prove that counselor wrong about being able to work, he went on to become the director of that department and probably really enjoyed firing that guy. But even more importantly, the work that he and the other disabled students at Berkeley started eventually transformed into the first Center for Independent Living, or CIL, offering peer support and other resources to people with disabilities. I believe there is now a mandate that every state be covered by a system of centers for independent living to provide peer support to the citizens of that state who live with disabilities. Today's host organization, in fact, Disability Advocates, is one such CIL. Yes, let's hear it for Disability Advocates. Yes, yes. Okay. Now, Reverend Wade Blank was an assistant administrator at a nursing home in Denver. At that time, homes often had younger residents than what they usually do now, and Wade found them drowning in the bureaucracy that was meant to support them. He talked to them, learned their ideas, and tried to implement the ones he could. They wanted to evaluate the nurses and have their feedback count for something. They wanted co-ed rooms. They wanted to have pets. They wanted to play music now and then. So before long, it was more like a dorm room than a nursing home. And finally, the big request. Why can't our Medicaid dollars be used to get us apartments in the community and pay for aides to come in at certain times? It sounded reasonable, and Wade tried to make it happen. The nurses would punch in at the nursing home and then go to the different apartments. But when the bosses found out, they fired Wade. They pulled out all the stereos and TVs. They had all the pets rounded up by the pound. They undid the co-ed setup. 4 years of changes, all gone in a day. But by then, Wade and a lot of those patients, those residents, were in too deep to quit. So Wade went all the way. He got 18 people out and provided their care himself. And he started the Atlantis community, where caregivers were interviewed and hired and given their schedules. He basically started an agency like many of us use today, but it was operated by the disabled people who relied on the services it provided. And then Wade and Atlantis and those first few people he got out created an offshoot organization called ADAPT. ADAPT members from all over the country, including yours truly, that means me, protest around the country to end the institutional bias so people can receive Medicaid-funded supports in their own home. They started by tackling access issues, so if people did win the right to live in their homes, they wouldn't be stranded and isolated, with no curb cuts or even sidewalks, no lifts on buses. And ADAPT was the major driving force behind the passage of the ADA. Now, I hope you're sensing a theme here. The people have a widespread need. The powers that be say no. A person, a group of people, or an organization rises up, and in the end, the people united will never be defeated. We win. Though these are not all specifically direct predecessors to today's birthday kid, I share these stories anyway, because the Americans with Disabilities Act of 1990 is really much more than a single piece of legislation. Landmark or otherwise, the ADA is a statement that people with disabilities are people first, that we matter, that we have inherent rights, that cannot be taken away or given away, including the right to dignity, which is to say that we are worthy merely by the fact we draw breath of honor and respect. The right to autonomy, the right to our own decisions about our own lives and to have decisions the same as instances would be, and the right to occupy a place and position of meaning and significance in the world, in society, and in our communities. And yes, my friends, that right is also a responsibility, and one that we must strive daily to rise to. For no one will come knocking on your door and asking you if you would not like to sit out in the park today with all the other people, or wouldn't you like to, whatever our able-bodied counterparts are filling their days with, ambitions, recreation, hobbies, relationships, advocacy, feeding their minds, feeding their souls. That's really it. Choose what you want to feed your soul with, and know that your right to do so is already yours. It is already granted. That is the statement that the ADA made in 1990. A truly momentous occasion in the long history of our broken, tortured, and often victorious past. I've tried to highlight today that change and legislation comes from people, most of whom have given everything to the cause. Frank Bowe, Ed Roberts, Wade Blank, Justin Dart, who I did not mention, and many, many more of the most prominent names in disability rights have passed on, as have many of the dearest, fiercest souls in the Grand Rapids community. You all have your own favorite heroes, and we may share many. Sadly, we could never name them all, but I do want to name a few. Darrell Domke committed his life to improving and increasing home ownership opportunities for low-income, disabled people. Ray Bauer came to us from New Zealand and jumped right into the fight for accessible public transportation and sidewalks, and she never let it go until the very end of her life. Karen DeLoof was most excited about access issues, as many so-called accessible curb cuts were still too steep and awkward for her to manage. But the best thing about Karen was that she would show up for every fight because everything meant something to one of her friends, and each of them meant the world to her. Duane DeRoshi. Need I say more? Well, yes, probably. Duane was an advocate for in-home care and for better caregiver wages, right down to his molecules. He would say anything to anyone, and he treated us all the same, like we were friends, like we were allies, like we were trying to get out of paying him for some fundraiser or another. These are my friends, our friends. They have now reached the clearing at the end of their paths, like far too many others these past 18 months, but the issues they chose to tackle are not yet won, and it is up to us to carry their banners on to the ultimate victory, where our brothers and sisters are free, where they live lives that have meaning, and where they are equipped to fulfill their dreams. Please join in that fight, won't you?
Well,
what a great video from Nick, from Clark Goodrich. Nick, I am really blown away by his activism.
Absolutely.
You know Clark, right?
Yeah, I've met him a few times. Would like to get to know him better, but yeah, I met him just a few times. So
Clark really, I think the most important thing about his comments in his keynote speech tonight was he highlighted the fact that the story of people well before the ADA, people with disabilities who protested, who really dedicated their entire lives to being heard and to giving a voice to people with disabilities, to making sure they were not marginalized. I love the story of Ed Roberts, a man who lived his life in an iron lung, as people with polio did decades ago, which is almost unimaginable, and he was discriminated against, marginalized, told any money to send him to college would be a waste of taxpayer dollars. If there's ever a way to feel somebody, make somebody feel expendable, as one of our contributors explained tonight, what it feels like to be marginalized as a person living with a disability, I think that's probably one of the most profound ways of saying it. So I'm glad we could hear from Clark tonight. Clark, you are a champion, and if I may say it, a badass for the disability rights movement, and we appreciate that immensely. You are a tireless champion and voice for everyone, especially those who have no voice to speak up. So I salute you tonight. Clark Goodrich, Nick and I thank you, and we celebrate you on 31 years of the Americans with Disabilities Act. So Nick, we have our winners from the third question now.
Yeah.
For the $10 Amazon gift card.
And that third question was, how would you improve upon the ADA?
And that's an important question with obviously a lot of different potential answers. I think anybody, based on their life experience, could answer that differently. We heard from Jessica Strons, Jeanette Tibstra, Clark Goodrich, in fact. And Clark, I want to shout out Clark. Clark, his comment, his answer to the question, how can we improve upon 31 years of the Americans with Disabilities Act? Clark's answer, to ensure people who need long-term supports, meaning things like in-home care and other services to improve the quality of their life as a person living with a disability, to be sure that people who need long-term supports are paid by Medicaid, to be paid by Medicaid, can receive those services in the living arrangement of their choice. Pretty exciting things. I'm trying to make sure right now we have no fire going on in the studio because I have somebody waving cards frantically in front of me. The benefits of live television. So we continue with our program tonight. Again, congratulating our question 3 winners in the running for that $50 Visa gift card: Jessica Strons, Jeanette Tibstra, and Clark Goodrich. Nick?
We would like to thank another one of our community partners, or would like to show a video, I should say, Sarah Green from The Rapid.
I'm Sarah Green. I work at The Rapid. The Americans with Disabilities Act is so important to The Rapid. In order to comply with federal ADA civil rights guidelines, we have to remain accessible and keep current on ways we can enhance that accessibility. All of our buses have been lift equipped since 1998. Now all of our buses are low floor with a flip out ramp. Not only does this make boarding easier for individuals who use a mobility device, it helps passengers with strollers, carts, or seniors to board safely. The Rapid also has enunciation of all major stops and transfer points called out on the fixed route for individuals with vision loss. The stop enunciation also prints out inside the bus on a scrolling screen these locations for individuals who may be deaf. The enunciation of stops assists individuals who may be new to riding the bus or even to the area. Therefore, the ADA benefits those with disabilities and those currently without. Our transit system is a vital and integral part of the community. Our frontline workers remained in service and safely adapted to this unprecedented year, adding enhanced cleaning throughout for safety. The work I do is shaped by advocacy for individuals with disabilities. I've worked travel training for The Rapid for 23 years. My fellow travel trainer and I show individuals with disabilities, seniors, or those with limited English proficiency to use the fixed route. We give access and freedom to individuals who gain the ability to independently access their communities for work, school, leisure, and medical. I also coordinate with Disability Advocates of Kent County on paratransit evaluation process with their OT department. We've been recognized as best practice by the Triennial Federal Review Panel for our process, which we are always trying to improve. The ADA and our understanding of it are very important. We invested over $900,000 updating our bus stops with cement pads to make them accessible. As a transit agency, wherever we have fixed route service, we must provide comparable paratransit services and a process to accurately and appropriately determine eligibility. We have long partnered with local agencies including Disability Advocates of Kent County, ABVI, Association for the Blind and Visually Impaired, Deaf and Hard of Hearing Services, schools, and Network 180 to maintain compliance with and access to our community for all.
And we want to thank Sarah Green and the Rapid, one of our very valuable community partners here with us tonight on this live celebration, 31 years of the Americans with Disabilities Act. Someone had just texted me watching us live and said, how can I support Disability Advocates of Kent County? You can go to dakc.us, dakc.us. You can make a live, secure donation right now. Assuming you're live, you can do that right now. And Nick, we've had some great storytelling tonight. I was thinking about the Rapid. You have a visual impairment. You're blind.
I do.
You've been blind
Yep,
since you were 12 years of age, right?
Correct. Yep. I've been blind since I've been 12.
Okay. You know, and I've been disabled since day one, and I walk with prosthetics on both of my legs and crutches. A bus without a lift is as useful as a pothole in the road in terms of transportation for me. So it's pretty important. And I want to say it this way. I'd never take for granted when I get behind the wheel of my car and I start driving, because I know there are tons of people living life with disability daily who don't have the freedom of being able to drive. And having accessible transit, ladies and gentlemen, those viewing us, watching us live on Facebook and YouTube tonight, let me give you a hint. Accessible transportation, public transportation like the Rapid, is a literal game changer for those people. So thank you to the Rapid for making those changes, for making accessibility real, and just another reason it's great to live and work here in Grand Rapids.
Absolutely. We want to thank our final sponsor of the evening, Varnum.
For more than 130 years, clients have trusted Varnum for excellence, innovation, and superior results in delivery of legal services. Over the years, as the needs of their clients have become more complex, Varnum has kept pace by consistently and constantly expanding their areas of practice, their areas of understanding the evolving trends and issues, and their ability to harness technology effectively. Today, Varnum is firmly established as one of Michigan's premier law firms. A full-service provider of legal counsel, Varnum has a strong core of experience. Varnum clients represent a diverse range of business and legal interests, manufacturers, financial institutions, healthcare providers, professional groups, municipalities, colleges and universities, school districts, developers, trade associations, and charitable organizations. Wow, that was a mouthful, Nick.
Yes, the people of Varnum are more than just attorneys. They're mothers and fathers, brothers and sisters, sons and daughters, and people of the community which they live and work. Varnum attorneys serve in leadership positions and volunteer at hundreds of nonprofits around the state of Michigan. Varnum is very pleased to support disability advocates in their mission to help those with disabilities gain control over their lives. And they are very honored and pleased to be here celebrating with us.
Thank you, Varnum, for your support. Thank you for being a part of our 31 years of celebrating the Americans with Disabilities Act live here with us tonight with Disability Advocates of Kent County. We are at this point going to very shortly bring you our grand prize winner. Make sure if you haven't already followed us on social media To do that, you can follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube. And please like and share this stream to your social media channels. We appreciate it. We want to, before we are out tonight, we want to thank our grand prize winner, Nick. She gets that $50 Visa card. And our grand prize winner, shout out and a way to go to Kristen Kelling. Kristen, you are our $50 Visa card winner. Congratulations. Nick, I couldn't have done this without you. Thank you for being a part of this celebration tonight.
Thank you so much, Phil, for being my co-host and basically taking the lead on a lot of things. And I could not have done it without you, for sure.
Thank you to my partner, Nick. Thank you to our behind-the-scenes tech crew and Michael as well from Disability Advocates and everyone here with Disability Advocates. Thank you to those of you watching on Facebook and YouTube. And on behalf of everybody here with Disability Advocates, on behalf of my partner, Nick Vanderwall, I'm Phil Tower, wishing you a good evening.